I support Curtis Sliwa. I've known Curtis since 1985 when he started the Guardian Angels. I was there when they attempted to kill him. I saw how he, when the city was a total, just the highest crime numbers in America, Curtis went in the streets with his people and he brought some order to it at a time in which the police weren't allowed to do that because we had Democrat mayors. We got a Republican mayor, me, and we changed it. In fact, we hadn't had a riot in New York since we had the last Democrat mayor. Curtis knows all this. Curtis has helped us so often to bring order to the city. He's done it now in various parts of the world. So if what you're worried about in New York City is crime, I can guarantee you that this man will get it down right away and in a sensible way. He runs a worldwide organization. He's very humorous and has a great delivery. Sometimes people don't realize how smart he is, which is good for him. That felt that way about Reagan. They felt that way about Trump. They all ended up being a heck of a lot smarter than just about anybody else. So I'm a big supporter of Curtis. Boy, does the city need him. I mean, we set a record last year for the highest increase in homicide ever in the city of New York under de Blasio and Cuomo. We set a record for the highest increase in shootings, and now we're trying to exceed that record this year. The people in New York are frightened. They come up to me all the time in the streets, and they ask me to run again. They said it used to be safe when you were mayor, and now we don't go out anymore at night. It's got to be stopped right now. Curtis Sliwa is the only guy who can do it.
Well, I think, if I was going to support between Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa, I'd take Curtis Sliwa.
Why?
I'd take Curtis Sliwa, for sure. I know Eric, nice guy, used to work for me. Eric was a lieutenant in the NYPD. He worked for me at the time. He's a good guy. I like him personally. But a couple of weeks ago, he said he wanted to follow in the footsteps of David Dinkins. David Dinkins had the highest crime rate in the history of New York City. I don't want somebody that follows in David Dinkins' footsteps. I want somebody that follows in Rudy Giuliani's footsteps. I want somebody that's going to clean up the city, that's going to reverse a bunch of the policies that de Blasio put in place and take the city back from the bad guys. And I think Curtis Sliwa has the courage to do it because that's what it takes. It takes courage. You need leadership with courage, because if you don't have that, it's never
one of these cities that has this kind of crime. If you vote for a Democrat, there's something wrong with it. I mean, just think about this. Let's pick Chicago. 50 years of Democrat rule. 2 weeks ago, 77 shootings. Last weekend, 100. Now, why would you vote for a Democrat? In 50 years, they haven't been able to do better than 100 shootings in a weekend. I'll give you another example. In New York, we hadn't had a riot for 20 years. The last riot we had was the last Democrat mayor we had. What happened last summer? We had about 50 of them. And what happened? The rioters were all let out of prison. The only rioters, if they are rioters, that aren't left out of prison are the people on January 6th. And that was an insurrection without a shot being fired. The only person shot was the unarmed woman by the police, and they won't tell us what happened. They're covering it up. So I don't get this. Those people are in jail for 4 months, and every rioter in New York who burned cars, broke windows, stole bikes, stole jewelry, stole liquor, stole things. We saw it on television. Police standing there. These people are going into the stores, and they're walking out with the whole store. Every one of them was released in New York because of two people, Cuomo and de Blasio. The Democratic governor lets everybody out without any bail. So basically, if you commit a robbery, you get a 3-hour delay. Then you can go back and commit robberies. The Democrat mayor lets them out of jail. So he let everybody out of jail because of COVID. Now, that was a really smart thing to do. The jail was rife with COVID. He took the people out who could spread COVID all around the city. He put them in the city, and he could have put them in a jail that was isolated. He basically did what China did. But because he's a Democrat, he got away with it. Every city where you see this epidemic in crime, would you please note there's a Democrat mayor. Their policies, their programs, their crazy left-wing ideology, their defund police nonsense, and their close association with Black Lives Matter, which is an organization which in every riot calls for the killing of police officers. Please don't be fooled by Black Lives Matter. They do not give a damn about black lives. They did nothing about all the black people that were killed in Chicago last weekend. They did nothing about all the black people that are being killed in New York. I did. They don't care about black lives. They care about communism. They care about this radical sexual agenda. That's what they care about. And the Democrat Party is locked up with them like this through somebody you should know in St. Louis very well, George Soros, because he paid for your district attorney.
The problem with New York right now is it's a three-pronged problem. It's not just the mayor of the city of New York. It's a three-pronged problem. One, you have a governor that signed into law bail reform that
authorizing 83% of the people that's arrested for gun charges are immediately released. They're not held, okay? The bail reform thing has to go. You also have prosecutors that admittedly aren't prosecuting violent crimes, which is absurd. And then you have a mayor that has defunded the budget by $1 billion, taken 600 anti-crime trained clothes cops off the streets. All that stuff has to be reversed. That's how you clean up New York City. Nobody wants to live, visit, work, or go to school in a place where they're not safe, where mothers are putting their kids to bed in bathtubs at night to protect them from random gunfire. So you need somebody to reverse what's there now, and nobody can tell me it can't be done because I've done it. Mayor Giuliani did it. He took violent crime from 65%, a reduction in 65%, homicide rate reduced 70% at a time when we were doing 2,200 murders a year. So don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done, but you need the right leadership to do it. And if you're going to do it, address the laws, make prosecutors do their jobs, give the cops back the streets, the resources, and the training they need to do the job, and then let them go do the job. Support them when they're doing the job, because if you don't support them, they're not going to work.